Hello Internet, I'm the Disney Brain and welcome back to the Liv and Maddie review. Once again, this show has delivered us an important topic that certainly commands attention. How'd they do on the execution side of things? Well, let's jump right in and discuss Tiny House's Rooney. We start things off with a side plot about Mama Rooney being commissioned as a model. We all pretty much know how that plot thread will end. It's not really a scam, but the photo shoot isn't quite what it appears to be. Nothing too shocking. Although, it was strange that Mama Rooney never actually asked who Marlo worked for or what she was actually modeling for. Kind of strange considering she is an adult, and there would have at least been some documents to sign. But either way, not terribly important, which leads us to the second side plot. The Rooney boys have their allowance back due to an actually hilarious lie they made up on the spot, but they don't have enough money to see a new movie in 5D. Just like most of their ploys, they fall just a bit short due to some of the silliest concepts these two have ever tried to pull, and that's really saying something. But what really helps make these scenes somewhat entertaining is the ticket lady herself, who's named Daria. Given her devil-may-care demeanor and her instant ability to cut through the nonsensical plans of the Rooney boys, she's likely a cool little reference to the TV show and the TV show character of the same name. If nothing else, it's a nice touch on an otherwise typical Rooney boys side story. But now, let's get to the meat of the episode. So Maddie and Willow know a mall performer named Eddie. It's quickly revealed that he is, in fact, homeless, in no small part because he made the brave choice to leave his home at 18 because he figured it wasn't the best environment for him. Something about him really reminds me of Rags and his narrative, but with a few backstory tweaks. But in all seriousness, I praise this show for wanting to tackle the issue of housing insofar as they could. So the pair decide initially to build a basketball hoop akin to a carnival game in an effort to help raise money for homelessness, but it breaks down due to the law of wouldn't that be funny more than the laws of actual physics. Now working with Val, the newly formed trio initially want to rebuild their game with greater stability, but then decide why not just build an eco-friendly house, and there's your episode title. You get a nice reaction from Eddie himself, although I would argue that they don't go far enough on that end. But the best part about all of this is how the episode took the time to describe the process. When Maddie and Willow wanted to build basketball hoops or whole houses, they made sure to describe the process of getting such constructs approved by the people who run the places they want to put them in. It's a tiny detail, but it most certainly should not be dismissed out of hand, because most shows just wouldn't do that for one thing, and more importantly, it shows just how dedicated both of them were to making this happen. It wasn't just, let's build this thing as a one-off idea, it's taking time to at least go through the approval process. In fact, I think we have an even better episode if that process is delved into further, because it would then give the girls a platform to better express their passion for this project, which can only improve on this episode's message and impact. And given what this episode is about, it might have even been nice to see it broken down into two parts. In any case, this story thread ends with Maddie and the girls seeking to get approval to potentially build tiny houses for the homeless all over the place. The logistics of that would likely be nightmarish, but at least their hearts are in the right place. And that's Tiny House's Rooney. It didn't take long for this show to outdo itself in season 4 and put together an episode that for my money is a little better than Role Model Rooney. Let's break down why. Role Model Rooney was a good episode because even though it didn't take its central theme far enough, it did enough to capture the message that they were going for. The issues of Role Model Rooney involved missed chances to be better, odd episode structure, and some countering to the take-home message in the side plot. This episode works a bit better with another important topic because the plot progression is more sensible and straightforward. Nothing seemed completely out of the realm of possibility here because this episode tried its hardest to be more grounded than most, at least as far as the main story goes. It's also an episode that understands that talking up the major complexities that go into homelessness and the housing market in general is something that would take an entire season to even begin properly discussing, and then they'd have to rename the show to The Big Short Cali style. It's a very complex topic, so keeping the message and the motivations clear from the start works best. Last time we talked to Liv and Maddie, I was forced to admit that Maddie was actually wrong about something. A something made even more dubious by the fact that being tomboyish herself would make her the last person in this show to look at a name like Taylor, for example, and think women only. But here, her and Willow are motivated to make a positive change, which isn't something these characters are put in a position to do very often. In fact, if this were a season 3 episode, then Liv would most likely have been the one trying to make this happen. But few things on this network bring me more joy than having Maddie Rooney placed in the center of an episode that matters. And even though the side plots can be called detracting at best and way too much at worst, they never go against what the main plot is trying to do. Does it succeed completely in bringing its issue to the light? Well, yes, quite honestly. Again, not in a comprehensive way, but the fact that tiny houses are Rudy will most certainly cause at least a handful of individuals to think about this topic differently, or even research the topics more in depth, is everything a TV show like this should strive to accomplish, because knowing about the issues is step one towards finding real-world solutions. All that having been said, there was definitely a side plot too many this time around. One of the things that worked well in Maddie Rooney and Ridgewood Rooney, otherwise known as the two greatest episodes, is that both of them had a lot more main characters involved in the main plots, with the side plots serving only as a minimal distraction, and that same logic can apply to some of the other all-time best episodes as well. So I think that holds this episode back from being even better. Especially since, and this bears repeating, that there were a lot of interesting logistical details that were mentioned, but could have instead been shown to better emphasize how important this is to Maddie and Willow. Probably a misstep, but not a damning one. But by showcasing 2 and then 3 female characters that go out of their way to make a huge impact in one man's life, this episode goes the extra mile in a way that continues to push the narrative of what females can do forward without having to overtly be about gender equality this time around. And anytime this show strives for empowerment, be it gender related or otherwise, something good comes of it. All in all, episodes like this one make me wish that the entirety of the series could basically be this: 22 minutes of tackling personal and family issues, or in cases like these, grander issues. And the best episodes of this show pretty much all do that to varying degrees. But then Josh became a recurring character, and, well, you know the rest. But season 4 seems to have finally captured some real spirit. Not every episode is a winner, but now that the love triangle is firmly in the rear view, the focus can shift to where it belongs, and hopefully the show stays focused. Because I want to watch every episode leading up to the finale and say, yeah, I can totally make an interesting video about this. I want to watch every episode and say, let's talk about this because it's worth talking about. And until then, thanks for watching.
Dude, I can see your legs sticking out from behind your knee pads.